Hi. I have been going into the federal prisons in the Fraser Valley for the last 11 years. Before that, whenever I heard about inmates, crimes, and there was a judgment came into my mind. They are very bad. They needed to be locked up. But after that 11 years of experience, it actually totally changed my view. Yes, they have committed crimes. Yes, they have made some mistakes. Yes, they have made some bad choices. But haven't we made some bad choices ourselves? Haven't we made some mistakes ourselves? They are not criminals forever. They are not criminals forever. When we are stuck with our negativity, with our negative emotions, so badly stuck, right there at that time, we are our own prisoners of our own mind. Aren't we? Yes? You agree? You nodded. Good. Dissatisfactions, sufferings are all over the place, inside, outside. But it's more intense inside. It's about survival inside. It's not about living. And self-reflection is actually very difficult to achieve inside. Why? Because first thing, it is not being taught. Second thing, it's not being practiced. But the most of all, it is not the norm. But that doesn't mean it's impossible. Gary was one of the greatest examples that I can share the experience with you. This is Gary here. Gary came in one day during our regular Thursday evening meditation classes. And he walked in, and we greeted him at the door like we greet everybody else. And he said, "Is there a meditation tonight?" I said, "Yes." At that time, actually, I could feel a fireball rolling inside the chapel. He looked so stiff. He looked so tense. And his face was all like these tiger wrinkles, lines, like a tiger face. And that's a sign of extreme tension, anger, and resentment. But we welcomed him, and he stayed. At least he stayed. I once had an inmate buddy come in and say, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Meditation." "Is there coffee and donut?" I said, "I'm sorry, I don't bribe people to come and meditate." Then he left. But I stick to that principle. But Gary said, "My chaplain, my nurse, suggested me to come and learn meditation from you because they have exhausted all the resources to help me to deal with this parasite of anger that I have had for such a long time since I was a little child." He was abandoned by the family. He didn't have anybody. And so I just wanted to come and try it. I said, "Sure." So he sort of gave me a look like this. And I had that aha moment. I said, okay. And he said, "Are you a Buddhist nun?" I said, "Oh, I'm a Buddhist nun, all right." And he said, "Will you try to convert me?" I said, okay. From my heart, I'm not here to convert you. But I'm here to convert you. And he looked at me. I said, "I'm not here to convert you because I don't think it is changing from one organized religion to another organized religion. That is not true conversion. And that is my belief, and that is my faith. But I am here to convert you. From being a very angry person to a loving person. From being an unhappy person to a happy person. From being a violent person to a very gentle person. That is my practice. That is my teaching. And I think that is the true conversion. He's sort of convinced, and he decided to stay. So I thought he was convinced. So he stayed. And I said, meditation is nothing. You just sit there and you take my technique and you try to be aware. You try to go inside your own mind and understand what is going on in there. It's not to be suppressed. It's not to be controlled. But it needs to be realized. That parasite, you cannot control it. You cannot put a leash on it, because the more you pull on the leash, the more it will run away. You cannot try to suppress it, because the more you try to push it down, the more it will explode. The only way that you can do is to realize that it is sticking its head up, and then remember what I need to do once I start to be aware of that parasite surfacing. That's meditation. I said, that's meditation. He said, oh. And I said, there is no extra tool. There is no external tool except your own body, except your own breath. That's the tool. You have to do it yourself. I cannot do it. I'm just somebody teaching you. You have to walk the path. And he did. And we could actually saw changes in him. The lines getting less and less. The face getting a little bit smoother. And we knew it is coming. But having such a strong parasite of anger is really not easy to deal with. It doesn't take one day to build up, and it cannot take one day to actually crash it down. One day after the one-day silent retreat, we are very lucky that the prison actually allowed us to hold one-day silent meditation retreat every other month for inmates who sign up and for inmates who are approved to come. So during that day, he came to ask me, Sister, I want to do more. I really would like to actually put a leash on this parasite so that I won't become the prisoner of my own parasite. I'm already locked up in a prison for what I have done. But there is another prison inside the prison. That's the mental prison. That is a huge, huge prison. And I said, yes, there's something you can do. And he looked at me. I said, very simple. 3 deep breaths. And he sort of looked at me and said, 3 deep breaths? I'm breathing already. I said, no, 3 deep breaths. And he said, is it going to work? I said, I don't know. Don't ask me. I wash my hands. I taught you already. I'm clean. It's up to you. You mean that I have to do the work? I said, yeah, I'm not going to be like a ghost haunting you, but you can put my picture in your cell to remind you. Then I went away for a teaching trip for about 4 weeks, and I came back and I get that gate pass again, and then went back into the prison. And I was waiting at the door, and he came in. That's scary here, okay? He came in, big smile from one eye to another eye. I said, ooh, something has happened. And I said, hey, how are you? He said, I am well, sister, I did it. It worked. At that time, it was me who became puzzled. I said, what worked? He said, the 3 deep breaths. I said, oh, your 3 deep breaths worked? And he said, yes. I said, what happened? He said, one day, I was so angry with one of the officers. The officer was very abusive. He was abusing us, very bad languages. And I really had to take him out. I went up with my fist like this, so strong, so tight. I said, I'm going to punch him in the face. And he walked up, building up this anger, this parasite getting stronger and stronger. Walked up, and all of a sudden, I think I was haunting him. And he remembered. He became mindful. He became aware what I had taught him. And he looked at the fist, and he remembered the 3 deep breaths. He just took 1 breath. The fist opened up a little bit. Another breath. Before he breathed out, actually the fist opened up completely. And he looked at his fist, and he walked away. And he said, this is none of my business. I walk away from troubles. And at that time, he regained confidence in himself. He knew he could do it. He knew he could live a better life. Even inside the prison, he could still be free. And I said, well, you know what? Yes, you can do it this time. But, when life is sweet and sound flowing, like a river, it's okay. But when it's become bumpy, I don't know how you can do it. And he said, I just wish that bumps won't come. I said, well, that's quite a wishful thinking. Well, good luck. A really big bump has come. He got sent into segregation because he posed to be a threat to fellow inmates and officers. And he went on a hunger strike for 6 days without food and water. The chaplain called me up and told us something has happened to him. I said, is there anything we can help? I said, I can go in and visit him. She said, could you? I said, right away. Within an hour, I was inside the prison, inside the segregation unit. Through the iron door, I saw this little window, and I saw him sitting on the concrete floor, very frail, very pale, in a cell maybe 6 feet by 9 feet, very flimsy mattress, no fancy bed sheets, not even a bed sheet, don't mention about the fancy one, no pillow, no blanket. It was wintertime. And a little stainless steel sink and a stainless steel toilet with no lid. And I said, hey, Gary, what's going on? And he looked up. He said, sister, what are you doing here? I said, I heard that you are in difficulty. I just wanted to come and see how we can support you. And he was in tears. He said, sister, this is not true. This is a false allegation. They are accusing me really wrongly. And I lost everything. I lost the escort travel, going to your nunnery to study and learn and meditate and to become a better being. I lost the visit with my cousin, whom I never know that exists, and just found out a couple of months ago. And I lost the possibility of parole. I lost everything. I lost the hope in life. Why do I need to go on? I just want to starve myself. First, as a protest to the authority. Second, I just don't want to live. There's no meaning to live on. I just want to cross over. And I looked at him and said, you just want to cross over. You think that's so easy? But I was very compassionate. Then I reminded him of a passage that he really liked. I said, remember this passage, Gary. He abused me. He struck me. He overpowered me. He robbed me. Those who harbor such thoughts will never still their hatred. I said, I don't need to believe whether it is a true story, whether it's a true thing, or whether it is false. I'm not going to take side. But I'm going to give you a side. And he looked at me and I said, a side where you can stand by just to be mindful. A side with mindfulness. Take that side and see if you can cool your head down, become more stable. Let this parasite become weak. Because if you're feeding in anger all the time, this parasite will become stronger and stronger and take you over. I said, cool yourself. Get yourself grounded, calm, calm and ground. You may see a way out. And he said, okay, I will. And I said, hey, there is a stale oat milk cookie out there. Do you want a bite? And he looked at me and smiled. And I handed him the cookie. He started eating. 30 minutes after we went into segregation, he started eating. The rest, the doctors were surprised. And Gary said to them, because they care. They respect me as a human being. They care. So I cannot be more than grateful. As a society, as somebody said this morning, everybody matters. Every one of us is important in this universe. Can we stop looking at them with color lens? Can we start giving them an avenue, resources to reconnect, to correct themselves, and to reconnect with us in the outside world? I believe there is a way. There is this path to rehabilitation, to redemption, not running just programs for them, hardly touching the core of the trunk. It's just touching the bark. It's not going to do any good. But giving them a tool to really go inside and check themselves is very important. The staffs have to look after themselves. The institution have to look after the staffs. Otherwise, the staff will just blast out with less tension and stress. If we do not address this issue seriously and earnestly, we will be forced to build more and more physical prisons. And that is a very sad and vicious cycle. Thank you.